So we're going to be looking at how to narrate a PowerPoint slide. We're also going to be looking at how to put a PowerPoint presentation together. We're going to be turning that into a movie, really simple. A few clicks, and then loading it onto YouTube. So hold on to your seats because we're going to be going pretty quickly. First thing to do, the very first thing before you can narrate it, before you can make your PowerPoint presentation into the most fabulous piece movie, you need to write a presentation, and we're going to look at how to do that. So what to include, and what we want is a presentation that is really interesting, which captures the audience, which everyone comes away feeling really good about it. And so what we don't want to do is have this death by PowerPoint. We don't want hundreds and hundreds of slides that are really hard to follow. We want it to be really clear. And find that slide hard to see? I do as well. It could look a bit like this, all in a different language. What that tends to do is leave everybody a little bit confused. Everybody scratching their heads. And remember, your audience have clicked into your YouTube video to look at it. They're interested in it. They've turned up for your lecture and they want to be inspired, excited. They've seen the topic, they go, yes, this is just the one for me. And so they're ready to listen. They've rocked up, ready to listen, and are engaged. And they put some effort into trying to work out what you're saying. But if it's difficult for them, if the slides look like the previous ones, this is what happens. They all fall asleep because it's tiring, it's hard work. They may not fall asleep quite like they do in this slide, and it's just fortunate that I could walk right around the side of one of my previous classes to capture absolutely everyone asleep. But that can happen if you do your presentations in a really dull way. What we want them to be is really exciting and to capture the work in a way that really engages the audience. And this next slide really does capture that point really nicely. So if you can't explain it simply, you simply don't understand it well enough. And as we can see, Dr. Lahart there sitting, thinking through his next paper, having a lifelong career in sport and exercise sciences. But of course, by that part, he'll be Professor Lahart. So we've put our PowerPoint presentation together. We're now going to narrate it. And that isn't actually too hard to do, because along the toolbars along the top, as you can see from my slide, is in the slideshow an option that says start recording from the beginning. So you slide your mouse along there. So come on, mouse, squeak a little long here, squeak a little long to the part, open it up, and then click ready to begin with. Now, what of course, you need to have some microphone in your computer, or you need your computer. Need it in your computer. Of course, you need a computer. You can either use the microphone built into the computer, or you stick one and an outside one in. Either way works perfectly well. And you can press the buttons when you finish. And sometimes on the process of recording these is not to worry too much about whether it's coming out okay or you're babbling your words a bit. Speaking naturally is much easy way of doing it, and I'm trying to do that naturally, because those people who know me know that I waffle on and on and on and on. So there's the instructions about how to start the recording from the beginning, or if you want to do one slide at a time, you can do that. That's absolutely no problem whatsoever, because you can pick it up at the next slide possible. So at the end of doing your talk for each slide, you can press the cross to stop the recording, and then you can go back to that and listen to it again. Again, I usually have a practice to use these things a few times before getting it right. Certainly the first few times you do it, because it's a funny experience sitting in a room speaking to yourself, speaking at the screen. They used to, I suppose with mobile phones, people are caught speaking to seemingly themselves quite often nowadays. But in the good old days when I was a youngster, being seen speaking to yourself was seen as decidedly unusual. So you record into the presentation. You can do it on slide by slide, or do it the whole thing. What would I say about doing that? Is one better than the other? I would tend to do them in little blocks, 4 or 5 slides at a go, have a drink in between, just collect your thoughts together. It's quite difficult to do a very long talk all in one go, um, simply because you're not always sure about what you're going to say, and sometimes as you say it, you realise that you didn't quite come out right. And that's important, is not to just think too deeply about whether you're getting this exactly right, or trying to amplify the standard so it's going to be so fabulously good that it's beyond even the most professional, well-rehearsed presenter who has presented many times before. Even to someone like that will find it quite difficult. And clearly that's not me. I've only been doing the job for 20 years. So once we have narrated all the slides, it's time to turn this presentation into a movie, and that is once again just a few clicks of the buttons. I suspect many people can do this already. They have narrated all sorts of videos that they have produced, which is one of the benefits of getting good with a computer. Not that I'm saying I'm good, but it's just you buy these things, they cost you a lot of money, so you play around with it. If anyone who knows me knows how completely incompetent I am with a phone, would be surprised to be hearing that I'm demonstrating anything technical to anyone. But it is, in other words, it is quite straightforward. I think the key skill with this is simply to stick at it and look at the screen for what you've got to do. All the prompts are all there for you. So you go into the info part, where it'll say compress media, and you've got various different options. I usually go for the highest one possible. I've not really tested the difference between the three of them. What I do know is until you've done that, it won't let you save it as a film. So me being so friendly with computer, it's years since I had to give it a good talking to. Me being so friendly with the computer, I just go for the one at the best one possible. And what that does, it just trims bits of the sort of external sound out, I suspect, and just makes it all packaged up. It does what a computer does, and does its best for you, does its best for you. And then this is the trick here. This is where we suddenly expose ourselves to the magic of the Windows media file that produces our film ready to load onto YouTube. This is where the films are made. We go save as, and in save as, what we do is look at the options available. And what are those options? There are a lot of them. And this is where, drink of coffee, this is where your computers may vary a little bit. And what I am recording it on is quite an old computer, and it's got all these, and it's quite an old version of PowerPoint, and it's got these options. There'll be different versions of PowerPoint, and you're looking for the Windows Media Video option, Save as Windows Media option, and that is, I think, on all PowerPoints after 2007, I believe, 2007. So if your PowerPoint is really old, it probably isn't in there. Be unlikely that you'd be using a PowerPoint that old. The university actually allows you to download PowerPoint, the newer version. Obviously you need your computer to be able to take the new one as well. And once you've hit that button, it then starts to produce a film. And down at the bottom of the screen is saying create Ting video. Do you like that? Creating. It's to say that's we're all know. I'm just making a few little jips in the old speaks there. It doesn't always come out perfectly. But what the point of that is, it takes a wee while for the film to make. Depending on how long it is, it can take up to several hours. And eventually it does it, and then you listen to it, and it doesn't always work. So you can do these things, and it takes a few while for it to go through. The speed of your computer will depend on that, the amount of video files or audio files you've put in, because you can jazz these up with music if you want to. I wouldn't jazz it up with music, by the way. YouTube will be the part, which will be the part that knocks out that, because YouTube will scan your file for music, and if it finds it's copyrighted, it won't let you load it up. So after that, you'll get a film. You can listen to it. Go click. If you've got a Windows computer, you'll have the software to load that onto. If you're doing it on an Apple, you'll also have the software to do that onto. I am recording this on an Apple, and I produced it on a Windows on a PC. So the two systems work in harmony with each other. And in my case, in my office, they're sitting next to each other happily, as they always do. Sometimes they have a little chat when I go out, but they happily get on with each other. Then what you've got to do is get yourself a YouTube channel. If you haven't got one, they come with Google accounts, and get yourself a Google account if you haven't got one. It's all free. All you need to do is give yourself a password and a username and a password. Get them in the right order lane. That's what you're meant to be a professor after all. Sorry, audience. I should give myself a bit of a pep talk there. But in essence, give yourself a username and password. You don't have to give too many personal details if you don't want to. It's all up to you. I actually think these are really useful, and I use them in my work to promote my work in order to athletes, to students. I'm doing this video out of the goodness of my heart to hopefully inspire you to be able to use this, because I think it's really good. To be able to, if you're ever doing a presentation and you need to practice it, this is a really good way of doing it, because you can share it with people who want to look at it, and you can share it in a way that only they find it. That's all again in the clicks available in YouTube. It can be private videos that only go to one person, so they're the only people who can use it, or it's public, and anyone can access it. And I know people are sometimes a bit worried about the public accessibility, but if you don't put any identifiers on it, it's almost impossible for anyone else to find. And the only person, because they won't have access to your YouTube channel, you'll always find it when you go into your YouTube channel. It's a bit stuttered there. YouTube channel. Sorry about that. Words got stuck. Yeah, sometimes they do. They get stuck. I can see the words running from the back of my head before they've got out of my mouth. They've decided to change their mind in the order in which they're coming out in. I would say it's age, but as you'll see from my YouTube account, which is Andy Lane 27, which is my age, of course, which I've stayed that age now for the last quite a few years actually now, a lot of months. So we get our YouTube channel set up. Stick a picture on it if you want. Whatever you'll find is you'll get people. You can look at how many people look at yours. I've got 10,000 of mine. 10,000 lovely people have looked at my videos. I think they've looked at all the sports psych ones, which talk about imagery and self-talk, and we put research findings on there and guidance for people to use prior to running races and how to control anxiety. But I've also got an image of my cat on there, and that's probably what the most people are looking at, although you can actually look at it. But it's a really good way of, if you are thinking about setting up being a personal trainer and work with your clients, you could put instructional videos to encourage people to do X and Y. If you're working with athletes or with sports teams, you want to give them information, you can load it up via this way. It's just, if you with your friends and family, you can load up videos quite easily and share them quite easily that way. So it's quite a neat thing. Then you click to upload. You click the upload button, there it is, picture of me with the bell, really easy to do. Then, just like you'd be using in any system, from your computer, you select files to upload. That'll go to my computer. So you've got a Windows media file. Probably your computer will have put that in the videos pile default. So look in there. As you save the video, it sometimes helps to know where that's gone, but can give it a name where you can remember it. But it's probably gone in the videos if you just follow the yes, yes, yes button and have a look in there. And then you can see it processing, and it goes along, and it's pretty quick. And members of staff, when they go to doing that, that's my phone talking to me. I think it's probably the news coming in. And there's a lot of trouble on the motorway today. It took me a long time to get in. Oh, I was a bit cross by the time I got in. Not that cross, because me being a psychologist, I regulate myself, apply my own techniques. Oh dear. The people who know me, who listen to this, can find that funny. You press publish, and it takes not too long to do that. It zaps this up quite quickly. One of the lovely things about YouTube, I found, in comparison to some of our other bits of software, it really does these things quite quickly. And after that, there you get your file comes up, what it looks like. That's absolutely great. There's one of mine. Did that to the second years the other day about how to do research. An absolutely fabulous presentation, which I presented and narrated so that they could listen to it. Not only could they listen to it in the lecture, sitting there live with all the little side stories I put in there, which interesting to me, partly interesting to them, but they add some context to the research process that I'm talking about, so actually are relevant. But they can listen to it again and again and again, and that I think is one of the benefits of sticking stuff on YouTube. Is it allows people to revisit it. Of which, if you can't remember how to do this, you can always play this again. The same kind of witty comments or annoyingly droll voice whilst I'm speaking in the background will be there, but that's what happens when someone asks me to do stuff. And when you get to this, you can then share it with your friends and make it live, make it public. So you could just, once it goes live, you just can send them the link and then they can access it. And therefore, it's all live. It all works. You can embed it into web pages by looking at the embed button. Most of the things there are right in front of you, and you just got to stare at the screen until you see them. Don't be scared to click a few buttons to see what happens, because how we all learn with computers. Most of you will have mobile phones. Very few of you, I suspect, have gone to the manual before you start using your mobile phone. You've gone click, click, click and learn. And I suggest you follow the same principles to learning how to do this, because it is pretty self-explanatory. One of the reasons why these companies such as YouTube, Google, of Apple have done so well is that they're intuitive to use. So it is go forth and experiment. And on that bombshell, I will end this presentation.